Hello, well, I thought I'd show you another sketchbook. Let's grab a cup of tea. Oh, look at this. I don't know if I can get these out or not. These are, they're sticking, so, oh. These are dried poppy flower leaves. Flowers. They were bright red. And they were from my yard in Pennsylvania. I kept them as a memento. My yard was covered in flowers. Just set that there for now. So what else do we have here? Well, this is back to I was trying to find unique ways to use pen and ink to send to various magazines. Here's another one. I don't think that I have a good fantasy style. It's too stiff, too, I don't know. It's fun to do, but I don't think that I have the proper technique. Well, now they do it on computers and they just like mass produce it. It all looks the same. It's very stylized and the lines are very sharp, and I've watched how they do it on the various programs and it's just zip zip zip, you know, but it all comes out looking exactly the same. I used to go to life drawing classes, which are very fun. And so you have a model in the middle and people sit in a circle around, and it's usually pencil, and sometimes they allow charcoal, and you draw the model, and it's done in a very traditional way. Like the model will pose for 3 minutes and maybe do a couple of those, and then for 5 minutes, and for 10 minutes, and then take a break, and then do a longer one, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes a half an hour. And I always enjoy it. I haven't, well, since the pandemic, there hasn't been anything like that. I did this as a poster in Bisbee. Very silly. I think with drawing, I've done art my entire life. And I don't know why. I just have always done it. This is a watercolor. Where is this? Paradise Valley, Montana. I drove all the way around the country, and I mean like Seattle, New York City, Florida, California, Seattle, and I did watercolors. Anyway, I don't know why I've done this my entire life. It seems kind of pointless because you just end up with art, and art can be a wonderful thing. It's like with music, you know, it's just a wonderful thing, but it, you know, I think people get confused sometimes that art turns you into this type of a person um, that is quirky and maybe a little crazy and eccentric and all this stuff, special. And I don't know if that's true or not. There are certainly artists who are quirky and special, but I don't know if it's the art doing that. Um, for me, a lot of it was just learning the technical aspects of it, which that was fun for me. I'd go into a gallery and I'd see an artist and I'd think, how did they do that? And I put my nose right up to the painting. I always got yelled at galleries because I was trying to figure out how the painting was made. And that could be like a realistic or romantic Renaissance painting or a piece of abstract expressionism. Uh, Something about it captures my attention, and I think, how did they do that? And that is a lot of why I did art. Um, this one is, this is in Chaco Canyon. And I don't know if you know, it's the Sincletzin ruins. These are ruins from the Chaco civilization. And if you don't know what Chaco Canyon is, look it up, C-H-A-C-O, Chaco. And it was a civilization, and I think it went into extinction sometime around the 1300s, something like that. But it had been there for thousands of years, and you go, it's in a very remote part of New Mexico, yes, in the Four Corners region. And you have to drive down this really funky road for about 30 miles. And but then there's all these ruins, lots of them, buildings and lots of drawings on the walls and things like that. And you used to be able to walk around within them. But one of the things there, I've been there like 3 times, and at night, if you just lay down and look at the sky, you can see the entire Milky Way. It's so far out in the middle of nowhere. There's no lights or anything or no cities. And you can see the entire Milky Way, and it's just really breathtaking. So yeah, that's what this is. You had to hike up onto the top of the hill to get to this one. Anyway, Chaco Canyon. Last time I went there was with a friend, and the road going in was really muddy, and you had to go up and down these dips, little hills, and they'd go down, but when you went down there were like mud puddles, so we'd get to the top of the hill and I'd floor the car and go as fast as I could so I could go down through the mud, and we had this West African drumming music going, and driving into Chaco Canyon. And the car was so covered with mud you couldn't even see the car. And this is a watercolor. What else? Is there a pencil? I think that's watercolor. I took an art class in Pennsylvania at this community college, which was so good. It was really an amazing experience. And the first project is we had to use only certain tones of color to create a painting. And that's what this is all about. It was the most incredible experience. I took a writing class there too, and it was just this phenomenal experience. But the art class, I went in and I talked to the professor and I said, you know, I've been doing art my whole life, and I don't want to like intrude on your class or anything like that. And he just lit up and he said, no, we've got like this really incredible group of people showing up this semester, so come join us. And it was true. It was everyone in there was like really into art and painting, and just we'd get there early and then we'd leave like 2 hours after the class had ended, and just these long discussions about how art is made and what it means, and on and on. And the professor was very, very, here, I'll show you something. He, at the end of it, he gave some of us small paintings that he did. And he did these beautiful, it's not showing up very well. And he was so taken by that class that he gave some of us a painting of his. His name was David Ludwig. Anyway, the class was just incredible. And he taught me tonalism, and which is a very difficult technique. And I can show you an example right here. You can see that. I don't know if that showed up or not, but anyway, I digress. So this, I'm supposed to be showing you my sketchbook. What is this? Oh yeah, I know where this was. This was Horse Thief Lake in South Dakota. And if you went on the other side of that mountain, that's where Mount Rushmore was, which I thought was incredibly trite and silly. So I spent like 5 minutes at Mount Rushmore, and I drove up and I found this really wonderful lake and really beautiful. So yeah, there's that. There's more of these. This is in Florida. This is Grayton Beach. This is just a lovely place. It's a park, and there are no hotels, there's no development, at least there wasn't then. And the sand is just like powder. And this was, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Nebraska. 20 miles south of Gordon, Nebraska. And in western Nebraska, it's hilly like this, really pretty. And then it gets flat as you go east, of course. There's another one of my band drawings. I got them to sign. So they signed their names to the. I went to this concert, and it was like this loud, heavy metal, thrash metal, not even heavy metal, thrash metal band, and I sat on the edge of the stage and I drew this demon. This is what the music sounded like. It was just, you know. Yes, I go to thrash metal concerts. The last one I went to was so loud that my ears are still ringing like 5 years later. Not doing that again. And so this is that ebony pencil. It's so wonderful to play with these. It's just a doodle. But that's the thing, you know, you get a tool that you like, you find a pencil that you like, and it's like, oh, what can I do with that? It's the technique. As far as like expressing yourself through your art, of course, that's a valid use of art. But I also wanted to try to sell my art. So it always becomes a tug of war, because, what am I feeling? Do I want to express my feelings? And a lot of times when you live in a society that is, um, I don't know how you say this, they're not exactly welcoming of certain feelings. And so you can express your feelings, but nobody wants to hear it. So then it becomes like, how do I do something that will attract attention and maybe sell? And selling is a valid use of art also, because it's just an exchange. You make something and people go, oh, that's really cool. Can I have that? And it's like, sure. What, you want to give me something in return? And that's valid. And then they have it, and it's on their wall, and they get to enjoy it and think about it. But it's the same with music. You go out and you can play music that expresses your feelings, but if your feelings are so different than the status quo, people won't relate to it. And so, there's two ways of dealing with that. You can find your niche, the people who want to hear that or want to see that, but it becomes a reduced audience. And then the other end is you want to just make things that, the lowest common denominator will enjoy. And so there's like always a balance there. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I would try to make art that represented some of the people I had around me or things like that. Or just fantasy art. I was really into like Frazetta. Is that his name, Frazetta? That's just pencil. So then I just like got all over the place. I was like, well, I don't know what to make. And so I made all sorts of different stuff. I made abstract paintings. I did illustrations. I painted murals. I did political art that expressed exactly how I felt. I did all sorts of stuff. And drawings are like this, I guess, are just they're almost like interpreting a dream, only not that directly. This is called When Lies Come Back to Haunt You. So it's more like I get this concept in my mind, and it evolves as I'm drawing it. It's not planned at all. This is a watercolor. And I like fantasy art because it's fun to do. I see some people who can do fantasy art and it's just so wild and beautifully done, and I just think I'm a little too uptight or something to really express myself that way. This one was just, I forget when I did this, but the idea was that everybody had just surrendered, basically. the idea is just everybody has given up and become like whatever. This turned out really nice. This is a life drawing. Again, it's, you know, the model was sitting in front of me and I sketched this out probably 10-15 minutes. And this is another one of my music drawings. She used this for an album cover. I don't usually do this, but I was in an art museum. Where was it? I forget. Arizona somewhere. And there was a Maynard Dixon painting, and I just really loved his artwork. I lived in the Southwest for a very long time, and I'm not a big fan of Southwest art, but I did like his work. And so I had colored pencils, and I stood there and I drew the painting in the gallery. They let you do that. Generally you can only use pencil in a gallery, and and some galleries allow you to paint, but you have to get special permission and you have to tell them exactly when you're going to be there, and there's lots of rules about it. And I have seen people painting in galleries from time to time, but not very often. Usually people are sketching. This was a dream I had. It's like I was going to say something, but these are people I saw sitting in a restaurant. And this is ink. And I was sitting waiting for my then partner, sitting in the car. This is an alley in Tucson, and I sketched the alleyway using little bottles of ink and a paintbrush and ink. Using ink like that, the colors they just really pop. Pencil. So yeah, I don't know what the initial motivation was to do art, but I'm still doing it. What is this? Oh wait, there we go. This is again like a fantasy drawing. I don't know. They're really fun to do. That's why I do them. But I don't think I'll ever be Frazetta.